Hello my lovelies, today's video is going to be a tutorial on this kind of intense but still wearable smoky eye. Super pretty, and we're just going to jump right into it. This is actually the second time I've had to film it. I was about halfway through and my camera just died and I didn't realize it, so we're just starting again. We're going to go ahead and just prime the eyes with some of the It Bye Bye Under Eye Concealer today. This is in the shade Light, Ultra Fair. I'm not sure what the exact shade name is. It has both of those on there. And I'm just blending this kind of all throughout the eye, especially in that inner corner. Because we're doing a really smoky eye, I don't want to have to bring concealer up here. So that's also kind of what we're doing here, as well as priming the eyes. Setting that down with some powder, and then we're going to just pop on some tape to keep our outer edges very sharp. Then with those on, we're going to go ahead and jump right into the palette we're using today, which is the Morphe 35F palette. And I'm starting with the third shade in on the matte row, which is the bottom row of this palette. And it's just kind of a medium brownish peachy shade, kind of perfect for the crease. So I'm just going to take a fluffy brush and really buff that all throughout the crease area. Very liberally, making sure we have a lot of product in there. And our tape is just a little bit away from the very edge of our eye, so I'm blending it down there as well. Then we're jumping 2 shades over to just a little bit of a darker brown on a slightly smaller, more, not compact, I can't think of the word, fluffy brush. And I'm blending this kind of in the same areas, but just keeping it a little bit lower in the crease. Again, just taking a little bit of a darker color to help get some definition in there. We want a really good blend today, so I'm just going to, go back as I go. I wanted a slightly darker brown shade before we hit black, which this palette does not have. So I jumped into my Morphe Jaclyn Hill palette and just took the Central Park shade, which has been seeming to be my favorite kind of dark chocolatey brown shade. And I'm just taking this on an even smaller fluffy brush, and we're really just keeping this in the very outer V and the very low, lowest level of the crease. And again, it's just adding that definition. You can see I'm going back with the previous shade, my middle brown shade, and just blending it out as I go. So definitely don't be afraid to go back and kind of blend more, add more product as you go, because it will be worth it in the end. Then we're going to jump into the matte black shade in the Fall Into Frost palette. I'm taking this on a very small fluffy brush and just lightly blending it through that very outer V area. I'm not really taking it too much into the crease, just kind of keeping it on the outer V in the lid area. And then once there's a little bit of a blend, I'm going to jump back to our chocolate brown shade really quick. And then, apparently I'm jumping back to my middle brown shade as well. But yeah, so we're going to blend a little bit, and then we're going to take a flat, dense eyeshadow brush, and we're really going to start packing on the black, just in that same area we blended it out. But this way, because we have a blend a little bit before we pack it on, it should be a little bit easier to blend it out in the end, if that makes sense. So we're going to blend a little bit of that chocolate brown over it once we have most of our black placed. And again, just going back with our medium brown shade, and we're just making sure everything blends super nicely. Now we're going to go ahead and add our shimmers. I'm taking this really gorgeous, it's kind of more of a deep bronzy shimmer shade, and I'm just taking this on my finger and I'm placing it kind of right over the edge of where the black stops and the lid. And we're actually kind of going to do a little bit of a gradient with our kind of shimmery glittery shades. So next I'm taking more of a bright coppery shade. And again, I'm kind of doing the same thing with placement, placing it just over the edge of the bronze shade, and also the lid, so that everything kind of blends nicely as we keep going. And don't be afraid to jump back in between the shades, or like I am here with my little brush, and just blend our black in a little bit more. Then we're going to our very top row. Third shade in is kind of a really pretty peachy champagne, and I'm going to blend this on our very inner corner of our lid. And you can see, I think the gradient on this just turned out so beautiful. I am taking a little brush for that inner corner just so I'm not, you know, putting eyeshadow on my nose, like in that inner corner. So, yeah, just going to go back and blend a little bit between my shades until everything looks good. Then we're going to pop on some liquid liner. I'm using the Ipsy and Betty Boop liquid liner again today. It's my favorite formula at the moment. Very pigmented, but also has a really good kind of consistency, not too thin, but still super easy to apply. And it's the Drawn to You eyeliner is what it's called. So we're just going to draw a little wing, not anything too dramatic, and we're going to peel off our tape. And I do recommend just making sure everything looks even and you don't need to adjust before we move on. And then because we did use some dark shades, I'm just going to wipe our fallout off before we jump onto our face. Priming, of course, with the Touch in Sol No Poreblem primer, and it's okay if it pulls up a little bit of your concealer that came across the bridge of your nose, because that's just gonna happen. And then for foundation, I'm going to be using my Smashbox Studio Skin 24-hour hydrating foundation, and I am just blending this out with my InStylish Macchiato sponge from the Not Basic Beauty Sponge Duo. If you're interested in either of the sponges I used today, they're from the same Not Basic Beauty Sponge Duo, and there is a code down below for 10% off your first purchase if you're interested. It's in the description box. And then I'm going to take the foundation under the eyes as well in place of concealer, just blending that out first with a brush, and then with the Reverie Rose from the Not Basic Beauty Sponge Duo. And again, I do recommend using a brush to get into those very inner corners so that we are not messing up our eyeshadow today. Then we're going to go ahead and set with my very favorite, the Coty Airspun powder. Although I am using a different brush today. I remember it's a Luxie brush, but I don't remember the number, so that will be in the description bar down below. But we're just going to go ahead and get the face all set down. And I'm just kind of doing a mix of like light patting motions and swirling motions. Then going into the Tarte Double Duty Beauty, the bronzer shade from this contour palette. And just blending that, of course, in my typical areas with more of a kind of fluffy brush. So cheekbones, across the forehead, temples, and then I'm bringing a little bit more than usual onto my nose. I wanted a little bit more of a defined, it's not quite a contour, but it's not quite a bronzer. It's kind of right in between today. But because it was a little extra intense, I am making sure to just go over with a buffing brush and the rest of my bronzer as well, just to make sure everything looks nice and smooth. And then today I'm actually not using a red brow pencil, and I'm trying to decide if I like it better with red brows or if my kind of ash brown that I normally do still looks good with my red hair. So tell me what your opinion is, but I'm just filling in my brows with the Anastasia brow definer here. And then they were a little bit messy today, so I just went ahead and used this little kind of concealer pencil from treStique. But yeah, it's just their little mini concealer crayon is what it's called, and I just used that to clean up my edges. Then we're going to finish up our lower lash line, and I'm just kind of doing the same gradient of our matte shades on the lower lash line as we did on our, like in our crease. So starting with that very kind of light, kind of peachy brown shade, and I am bringing that down quite a bit. And then we're going to jump to our more medium brown shade from the Fall into Frost palette. And then eventually we're going to jump in with our chocolate brown on a more defined brush and buff that very close to the lash line, not really bringing this one down as far. And I'm just making sure to kind of connect it with where it would come down from the winged liner so that we don't have any gaps there. And then I'm going to go ahead and just line my waterline with some gel liner. This is my favorite one to use. It's the L'Oreal Infallible lacquer liner, and just the black one. And I'm going to go ahead and line my waterline and my tight line today with a really smoky eye. I find it like your tight line can be more noticeable just because it's all very dark and smoky. So I did want to do that today, although I hate it. And then I'm going to take our black shade on a flat eyeshadow brush here, kind of like a flat square brush, and I'm going to buff that just below the lash line, really kind of on the lash line, to pull the black down from the gel liner and blend it in with that chocolate brown. Then we're going to go ahead and curl our lashes. And before I pop on my mascara, I want to do any finishing touches to my eyeshadow. So I'm going to go ahead and just re-intensify all of our shimmer shades here. And then we're going to highlight as well with the very first shade in the Fall into Frost palette on a little tiny brush. And look at this freaking shade. This is one of the most gorgeous highlight shades. Like, I forgot how much I loved it. So yeah, inner corners, and then we're taking just a little bit on our brow bone because it is very intense. You don't want to go as heavily in that area unless you want a blinding highlight there, but I prefer a little bit of a softer one. Then with that on, we're going to do mascara. I'm testing out the new Too Faced, well, it's not brand new, but their Damn Girl mascara, which is supposed to be very similar to the Better Than Sex. I don't know how I feel about it yet. I feel like trial sizes aren't always the best judge of how the full-size product is going to be, but it wasn't bad. Then we are going to pop on some lashes really quick. These are the AmyJune lashes in the style Lana. These might be my favorite ones I own right now. And then for highlight today, I realized while I'm doing this kind of editing that I did not do blush, but I am using the new Coty Airspun Loose Phase Highlighter in the shade Snow Much Ice, which is their lightest kind of pinky shade, and you can see it's super pigmented. I definitely recommend going with more of a light hand and then building up as you need to, because it is a very intense highlighter, but it's super, super pretty. Then once our highlight is all done, we're going to go ahead and jump onto the lips. And today I'm going to be using the Tarteist lip liner in the shade Bubbly. It's kind of just a really soft, kind of maybe cool toned pink. And I'm just going to outline my lips, and then I will lightly fill them in, just like a light little wash of color, and just kind of smudge them together to get even pigment all over. I want to add just a little bit of color, but not a ton. And then once that is all on, I'm going to go in with the new Gigi Gorgeous lip gloss. I can't remember exactly the product or the shade name. I got it in my Ipsy bag this month, but look at how crazy this is. It's like, it looks magnetic by the way the gloss pulls back towards the tube. Ipsy said it was totally safe. It's not magnetic. It was something about the design of the brush. So don't worry about that, but I thought it was kind of cool. We're gonna pop on the lip gloss, and then that will be our finished look. I am super happy with how this turned out today. I really hope you guys love it. Please don't forget to leave any comments, like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so that you're notified whenever I post a new video. And I'll see you guys all in my next one. Thank you so much for watching.